Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Exotic Wine Travel. I'm your host, Matthew Horkey. So, I'm going to give you a fair warning before we start this episode, and if you're viewing. That is the nerd alert. So, if you are not a wine nerd, you might not find a lot of pleasure in this episode, so maybe you can tune out. So, for everybody else who's hardcore wine nerds, especially Italian wine nerds, this is for you. So, we're here in Croatia. Tasting some of the wines, researching more and more for a book on the Visitor's Guide to Croatian Wines. And since we were here, we thought, you know what? Let's call up our friend who owns a shop in Piedmont and get some wines sent over here because we miss those Italian wines. And it'd be nice to taste them up against some of the top Croatian wines. At first, we were going to do just a strictly Italian wine tasting night with our friends. And then thanks to Shireen, she got this great idea that said, hey, maybe we should get some of the top Croatian reds or some of the more esteemed Croatian reds and then taste them with these Italian wines and see how they fare. So I have to thank Bibich Winery and Boškinac for sending a couple of sample bottles to do this tasting. All these other Italian wines we bought on our own dime, and we kind of shared some of the expenses with our group. So let's get started. Let's see, what we did is I wanted to introduce. You got to understand, Croatia's domestic market, they drink a ton of wine. Some statistics say they're as high as the second or third biggest consumption of wine per capita in the world. They produce a lot of wine. That's why a lot of their wine is not exported, because the local market just devours all of them up. And also they have lots of tourists come. So they know quite a bit about wine, but they don't get a ton of foreign wines in their country. So we wanted to give them a sample. And let's see, the best way to do this, I'm not going to go over every single wine because it might get kind of boring. What we started out with was some lighter wines, and we moved into a deeper wines. Like I started out with an Etna, Nerello Muscalesi, a Pinot Noir, an Aglianico that was darker than I expected, some Barbera from Piedmont. Then we moved on to some Nebbiolos that are not Barolos. Then we moved on to some Croatian wines. So I'm going to go through some of the wines that were really highlighted during the tasting. And Shireen, if you want to comment on everything, you can add in. So, actually, this is the first wine that I loved, and I was actually quite sad that quite a lot of people poo-pooed on it. This is the Passopisciaro. I always have a hard time pronouncing that. This is the Passorosso 2013 Nerello Muscalesi. Grown from 70 to 100-year-old vines. Well, we visited Etna. We went to this producer. He was bottling. He was a little bit busy, so we didn't get to taste. I was finally glad I got to taste this. Etna's called the Burgundy of the Mediterranean. When we tasted this, we had interesting people. We had all the top users of Vivino from Croatia there. We had the top wine critic, Sasha Spiranec, and the top wine blogger, Nenad Trifunovic. If I can, vinopia.com is his website. I'll put the link in the description box. And so it was interesting. We had people that really knew wine. People thought this was a little too wild. I loved it. I love Nerello Muscalesi, mineral, smoke, light berries, a little bit wild, a little bit of Brett. I mean, I love this wine.
It had like a prominent VA as well.
It's
volatile acidity that I really enjoy. But I think a couple of the people think that it's a simple wine because it's light bodied, medium minus body, and people think that it's more of like a table wine.
Yeah, somebody said it's a table wine. I was shocked. This wine has so much complexity. It's so subtle. This is his basic wine. His cru wines go up. I think this was 90 points, Antonio Galloni. I was huge on this wine. I gave it 4.3 out of 5. So here's the shocker. I handpicked all these wines with the help of Stefano from La Vita Turcesi. That's the wine shop in Barolo. I'll put his link in the description box. He helped me a little bit. I chose this producer. This is a Pinot Noir from Valle d'Aosta, the border of Italy and Switzerland. This is the Ottin Pinot Noir 2013. We had no idea how this wine would taste, and this was a big hit all across the table. I didn't even know what to say. What do you want to say about this wine?
Well, it's one of the most value for money Pinot Noir. Of course, if you don't know wine or if you're not that into Pinot Noir, you might not know that Valle d'Aosta actually makes great Pinot Noir. But as for this, it has earthiness, It has the purity of fruit again. It has very nice acidity. It has a long end palate. It has a structure that, well, can't be compared to a typical Burgundy, but its structure is still very good, very directive and defined. So it's just completely exceed its price.
This is a wine, like I agree with everything you say, that I can't see anybody not liking.
Yeah.
Because it was earthy, but not too much. It was fruity. It had layers, and it wasn't tannic because it's Pinot Noir.
And made by a charming family.
Yeah, organic producer. You know, Valle d'Aosta is known for Petit Arvin, Petit Rouge, some other varieties. I actually want to buy more of this in the future. Let's move on here. We had an Alianico that was darker, and I think it was just way too young. Really showed some stuff. This is we had two Barberas, one from Barbera de Asti in Piedmont, one from Barbera de Alba. This was by far one of the crowd favorites. This is the Roberto Voerizo Vigneto Cerreto. That's the vineyard Barbera de Alba 2011. I mean, this is everything I like about Barbera in age, right? It was juicy, cranberry, cherry, blueberry, had a little bit of cedar. This is awesome. I think this is the lowest scored critic wine out of everything we brought, 89 points. And I thought this was just unbelievable. You really like this wine, right?
I do.
This was a crowd pleaser. After we served all these 5 wines, and the next one we served blind, and we asked people to identify, and nobody got it. This is the Boškinac Cuvée from 2012. We first found out, this is Croatian, Merlot Cabernet Sauvignon, 2 years in French oak. We found out about this wine because his restaurant winery was featured on Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations, and I really do like this wine. It's a Mediterranean take on a Bordeaux blend, so there's a little bit more sour cherry. It's a little more bright fruit as opposed to darker fruit, but still had wonderful structure, nice drinkability. I'd like to age this more. We had an 07, which was awesome before, and the 12 is just really nice, right?
Yeah, it's a bit more Jenny as well because granted Dalmatia is quite a hot weather area.
Yeah, 14.5. When we gave this blind out of the decanter, everyone was smelling it. We got a lot of oohs and ahs. So we were proud of Croatian wines. They showed up really nice on the night. So let's move on. All the Nebbiolos showed awesome. I mean, I have this Brovia. This is the Nebbiolo di Alba from Valmaggiore from 2013. It was just nice, simple, straightforward Nebbiolo. For me, I had a 2008 Dolcetto. I don't know how I'm pronouncing that right. 2008 Barolo from this producer. One of the best wines I've ever had. This showed up nice. And then we started to get more serious. We had a Barbaresco from Lachanova, the Montevertine vineyard from 2011. Also showed up really nice, but a little more jammy. A little bit more raisiny, a little more ripe for a Barbaresco, right? But I would have to say this might have been the most structured wine of the night.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was... And then these are the 2 wines. Were these your 2 favorite out of the whole night? These were my 2 favorite coming up.
No, I like Boca, Vaggiomore, and Gattinara.
These 2 right here.
No, I'm not very fond of Gattinara.
Okay, so sure. So we showed first 96 points Robert Parker, 96 points Antonio Galloni. This is the Le Piane Boca from 2008. This is mostly Nebbiolo, which they call Spana up there, I believe. And a small percentage of a grape called Vespolina. You know, our friend Sashi is one of the top wine critics in Croatia. He just, drinking this wine, he just stood up and he had to get excited about it because this was great wine. I don't even know. I mean, it had everything you wanted. That makes Nebbiolo so haunting. Boca's a small appellation, maybe only 13 hectares, North Piedmont. Had the smoke, the tar, the minerals, the nice soft cranberry red fruits, the earth. Oh, it's just one of I gave it 5 out of 5 on Vivino. It was just one of those wines that I'll never forget. Anything you want to add?
It was a bit floral as well. What
Yeah.
Boca is known for is they produce very approachable young Nebbiolo. But what's surprising is this is our first bottle of Boca, right? But even for a 208, it tasted fresh but really ready. You feel that it does not taste like a 208. I mean, you know that it can be aged further.
Yeah, it's 6 years. It was Sue. It is almost 9 years old, and it was still.
But the tannins are ready.
Yeah, the tannins are ready.
Fine.
You know, I learned about this from the Venice Forum, Antonio Galloni's site. I'm on there, and they were talking about Boca, and I'm glad they did. I really tried it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Another appellation, North Piedmont, that makes Nebbiolo. This is Gattinara. I think This is 2006 Nervi. This is the oldest estate in Gattinara. Mixed reviews. I personally thought it was great wine. Everybody thought it was very good. Shireen wasn't as high on it as I was. Lighter version of Nebbiolo. Not much to say. Kind of like this, a baby Boca, I would have to say. But it was 10 years old, and I thought it was really nice. What didn't you like about it?
Actually, don't quite remember. I remember liking the Barbaresco more than the Gattinara.
Gattinara was a bit thin. Like, it could have showed up earlier here. But this was 20 euros at the shop. I think it's 94 points. Wine Spectator or Robert Parker, something like that. I thought it was really good. I made a mistake in putting this wine last. Shireen pointed this out. This is the Pecchenino San Luigi Giuliani. This is Dolcetto from 2015. I just wanted to taste this. I knew it would be simple because this is supposed to be the best site for Dolcetto in the world. You know, it was fruity, it was dense, not super exciting. But it was okay. It was young, that's 2015. And then we moved on to the Croatians, including one of the most expensive Croatian wines on the market. This is the Bibich Bas de Bas 2013 Crno, which means black, because he makes a white Bas de Bas. He was also on Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations. In the episode, Anthony Bourdain passes out because he drinks too much. We tasted there at the winery. We had lunch. It was a great experience. This is about 80 to 90% Syrah and a small percentage of Merlot. And I thought it showed really nice. Anything you want to say?
It was really gorgeous. It's a wine that has to be aged, and it was ripe but not too. It was ripe but not jammy. And the leather, the oak integrated really well. We had the tobacco.
Yeah.
The nose was complete stunner.
Yeah, it was a little bit woody, but the wood integrated well because I think it's 24 months in used French oak. Has tobacco, had beautiful minerals. You know, and we told Alan Bibich, the owner, that we had some aged wines, and he was not afraid to give a young wine. Yeah. It was deep, rich. It was a meaty Syrah. I mean, I really liked it. One person actually called this out blind, so that was kind of cool. I thought that was really cool. We also had the Boškinac, the same as the one earlier. This is a 2013 Cuvée. Good, but just way too young to drink right now. But still very good. In general, we had some great wines here. I mean, all the Italian wines were, besides these two, were 90 plus points in some kind of critic magazine. I mean, this was 89, so it's close. This is not scored, the Pinot Noir, but Jancis Robinson has written about it. I mean, we had serious wines here, and what do you... Excuse me, I got too excited. How do you think the Croatian wine showed here?
I'm very proud of Croatian wine. I think since we're in Croatia, we did the right thing to mix them up and tasted them blind. We only pick wine from Dalmatia, which is hot, yeah. So the wines can appear to be a little bit bigger, but it showed up really well. It tasted well, very balanced, and everyone was happy with every single one that night. I mean, for me, so first of all, I think at the top tiers we had the tier 1 wines, tier 1, and then we had 1A, and like obviously Boca. For me, Gattinara was on another level, maybe Barbaresco and the Etna. These are like kind of ones, but I would have to say Bibich, Bas de Bas, the older Boškinac were 1A. They were right up there. Right up there. I mean, Croatia, really, there's a lot of potential, really some interesting grapes. I know we picked international grapes, but there's also some very interesting local grapes that are showing well. So, great episode. I mean, I'm hoping to do more stuff like this. It was a lot of fun for me. Actually, we were really serious drinking these 13 wines. We had allowed 12 people. 17 wines in total. And then at the end of the night, after everybody was happy, they really enjoyed this, then we opened 4 Austrian wines, and that became a little bit of a poop show, so to speak. So, anyways, great episode. Thanks for listening to my rant. We're going to write an article about this experience. So, if you like this video, check out some of these unique Italian, Croatian wines. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Exotic Wine Travel. I'll see you at the next episode.